A man sits in a small room wearing a paper bag over his head. Written on the bag, "I am not famous anymore." People line up to sit with him, one by one, in silence. This isn't a movie, this is real life. And the man under the bag is one of the biggest child stars in Hollywood. His name is Shia LaBeouf, and this is the story of what happens when fame finds you too young. When you become someone else's creation before you figure out who you are, and what it takes to finally stop running from yourself. The Performing Child, Los Angeles, California, 1986. Shia LaBeouf was born into chaos. His father was a Vietnam veteran struggling with addiction and PTSD. His mother was a dancer trying to hold the family together. They were poor, not just struggling, poor in a way that shapes every decision you make. Shia learned early, if you can make people laugh, you can survive. At 10 years old, he started performing. Stand-up comedy at clubs, then auditions, commercials, anything to bring money home. By 12, he landed a role on the Disney Channel. Even Stevens, he was the goofy kid, the comic relief. America loved him. He was cute, funny, safe. But here's what nobody saw. Shia wasn't acting. He was surviving. Every joke was a defense mechanism. Every performance was a way to be worth something. At 14, he was winning Emmy Awards. By 18, he was starring in Transformers, one of the biggest franchises in Hollywood. Steven Spielberg called him the next big thing. Harrison Ford worked with him. Shia LaBeouf was a star. But inside, he was still that scared kid trying to make people laugh so they wouldn't leave him. The Machine. Shia became part of the Hollywood machine. Blockbuster after blockbuster, press tours, magazine covers, red carpets. But something was wrong. He was playing heroes, leading men, characters he didn't recognize. He looked in the mirror and saw someone else's creation, someone designed by studios, agents, publicists. Not Shia, but Shia LaBeouf trademark, the product. So he started rebelling, getting into bar fights, public meltdowns, arrests. The media ate it up. Child star gone wild. They loved watching him spiral. But Shia wasn't spiraling. He was screaming, trying to break the image, trying to be real. In 2014, he plagiarized a short film, got caught. The backlash was brutal. His response? He started doing bizarre performance art, skywriting apologies, wearing that paper bag, sitting in silence while strangers stared at him. Critics said he'd lost his mind, that he was doing publicity stunts. But it wasn't stunts, it was survival. He was trying to destroy Shia LaBeouf so the real Shia could breathe. The confession. Then Shia did something almost unprecedented. He made his pain public. He started telling stories about his childhood, about his abusive father, about growing up in poverty, about using performance to survive trauma. He talked about alcoholism, about rage, about not knowing who he was outside of performance. In 2019, he wrote and starred in Honey Boy, a brutally honest film about his own childhood, playing his own father, confronting his own demons. It was devastating, raw, uncomfortable, real. For the first time, people saw Shia not as a product or a punchline, but as a human being. Someone who'd been performing since childhood, who'd never had space to just be, who'd been running from himself for so long he forgot what he was running from. The reckoning. But confession doesn't equal redemption, and trauma doesn't excuse harm. 2020, FKA Twigs, Shia's ex-girlfriend, sued him. Allegations of abuse, physical, emotional, psychological. The details were horrifying. Control, violence, manipulation. Shia initially denied it, then admitted to it, said he was an alcoholic, that he'd hurt people he loved. He checked into rehab, started therapy, stepped away from Hollywood. And here's where the story gets complicated, because Shia's childhood trauma was real. His pain was real, his struggle was real, but so was the harm he caused. So were his victims, so was his responsibility. You can be a victim and a perpetrator. Trauma explains behavior, it doesn't excuse it. The question. Today, Shia LaBeouf is trying to rebuild. He's stayed sober, done intensive therapy, become religious. He's made public apologies, taken accountability, stayed out of the spotlight. But the question remains, can someone like Shia actually change? Someone programmed from childhood to perform, Someone who survived by becoming other people. Someone who hurt others while running from himself. The answer? We don't know yet. Because unlike his movies, this story doesn't have an ending. It's still happening. The lesson. So what do we learn from Shia LaBeouf? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Child stardom is abuse. Legal, profitable, but abuse nonetheless. We take kids and turn them into products. We reward performance and punish authenticity. We give them money and fame but steal their childhood. Then when they break, we act shocked. We make memes. We judge. Shia's story shows what happens when a child never gets to develop a self. When performance becomes survival. When you're someone else's creation before you know who you are. But here's what's crucial. Understanding this doesn't excuse the harm. Shia hurt people. Real people. That's not erased by his trauma. The lesson isn't feel sorry for him. The lesson is complexity. People can be victims and perpetrators simultaneously. Trauma can explain without excusing. You can acknowledge someone's pain while holding them accountable. Shia spent his life running from himself, performing, rebelling, destroying, creating, anything to not face who he actually was. The paper bag wasn't a stunt. It was literal. I am not famous anymore meant, please see me, not the product. But you can't outrun yourself. Eventually, you have to stop, face it, own it, all of it. The trauma and the harm, the victim and the perpetrator, the scared child and the abusive adult. Shia LaBeouf's story isn't over. Maybe he'll genuinely change, maybe he won't. But his story teaches us something important about child stars, about trauma, about accountability. You can't heal what you won't face, and you can't change what you won't own. Running doesn't work. Performance doesn't work. Destruction doesn't work. The only thing that works is stopping, standing still, and finally being honest about who you actually are. Not who you performed as, not who the machine created, not who trauma made you, but who you choose to become when you stop running. That's the real performance, the hardest one, the only one that matters. And Shia, he's still learning how to do it.